Welcome to the Portland Real Estate Podcast, Oregon and Southwest Washington's #1 show for real estate news and information. Without further ado, here are your hosts and a couple of guys who, as busy realtors and successful brokerage owners, know a thing or two about real estate. Steve Nassar of Premier Property Group and Joe Festolo of Soldera Properties.
Welcome to episode 162. We have Tiffany Larsson with the Real Producers magazine. And it's very fortuitous because we book a lot of our guests, sometimes 6 months in advance. And we've had Tiffany scheduled to be a guest for quite some time now, but it comes on the heels of an event that she put on just last night. And I'm going to have her talk about that in a sec. First, I want to introduce my co-host, Steve Nassar.
Thank you. Excited to be on another episode. We just had a great one here just around a month ago. And around that time, we were, like you said, Joe, we were talking about, we're always, it's no secret in our world of podcasting. And Tiffany, your world is probably a little bit similar. We're always looking for that great content. We're always looking for what's something that we've never done? Who is somebody we've never interviewed? What's a subject we've never talked about that's meaningful and relevant and valuable? And your name came up, and it was just like this aha moment. I'm pretty sure it was my idea, Joe, if I recall correctly. And I said to Joe, hey, what about Tiffany Larsson? And I think maybe because you had just invited us to one of your events. And sure enough, Joe said, that's a great idea. And he reached out to you and we booked this. And yes, it was fortuitous that it so happened to be the day after one of your great events that you just held in downtown Lake Oswego yesterday. So welcome to the show, Tiffany.
Hey, very cool. I was a very fast heck yes to your invitation. I admire your work and just adore you guys. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off. Okay. First of all, I don't think it's fair just to say Real Producers is only a magazine, because I think it is more than a magazine. I think it may have started as a magazine, but it's almost become a brand of and we're going to talk about this on the show. It's not just a Portland thing. It is a franchise. There are other Real Producer franchises out there. You own the Portland Metro franchise, correct?
Correct.
And I'm sure you have exclusivity with that. And we're going to ask you questions all about that, as far as Vancouver and Salem and Seattle. And I'm sure there's other franchises. And it's going to be interesting to ask you about your engagement with some of those other franchise owners as well. But 7 years ago, is that correct? You started this, and it did start as a magazine. Why don't we take it from the top? Why don't we start with, how did you first hear about Real Producers?
Yes. Okay. So I am a franchisee of an incredible parent media company called the N2 company. So N is in Nancy, the number 2. And I have been a franchisee of this company for 11 plus years now. I happen to run a second platform, which I started before Real Producers, called Greet Lake Oswego. And I won't go into any detail on that today. But that is how I sprang free, honestly, from corporate America. I have a long time background in marketing, to put it in a word. And I was very much interested in doing something on my own. I'm pretty entrepreneurial in spirit, and my husband is certainly an encourager of that. He's a fellow agent and friend of you guys. I have to shout that out to Chris. And he was very encouraging to me. Look, you've always said, Tiff, throughout your 19, 20 years in traditional advertising programs that I was helping companies on, he said, I've heard you say many times, it's about connecting said business or service professional to ideal clientele and helping that business or company gain more referrals and opportunities with their ideal clients. And he said, you have enough experience, start a company, start something. And then I'll fast forward to, I was very interested in that. We had 2 little kids. Our son Cash was 7 months old. Our daughter McKenna was 2. And in a very natural and unplanned way, I learned about the N2 company and what this company offered somebody like me.
How do you mind sharing? How was it you heard about them?
Not at all. In fact, I'd love to share. My sister, Kendall, lives in Northern Kentucky, and she received a community magazine. And again, unless you guys want me to, I want to be rather brief about the way I came to the company.
Sure. Yeah.
And got the franchises.
Because they also own like community magazines. It's not just a real estate publication.
Correct. But I think it's really neat how real estate came into the fold here. And I was even so lucky as to be a very brief part of these new product verticals and ideas that N2 launched. So I will touch on that. But I learned about them through my sister, who was a recipient of their community product. Okay. Like in her community, there was this wonderful lifestyle magazine coming once a month, every month, that was all about connecting that community to one another and then promoting great businesses in the area, right? That those residents may want. And she's like, Tiff, you should do this in Lake Oswego. I mean, this is all about, what that community is.
And at that point, it was not about real estate. She was talking about more of a community magazine. Okay. Got it.
Absolutely. So that's that. So I launched Greet Lake Oswego 11 years ago. And just like you said, these are much more than a magazine. And we're going to touch on that now that we're going to hone into Real Producers as a product and what it is and what we do here in Portland and also what Real Producers does nationwide. So, a couple years into running my community platform for Lake Oswego, the founders of the N2 publishing company, two fantastic humans, they're great men and family men.
Where are they based out of, Tiffany?
Yeah, they're based out of Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
So if you look up the N2 company, online, you'll see we are a suite of vast marketing products. But it's neat because I've gotten to be a part of and just see and witness the longevity and evolution of this company. Whereas it started in a community product of magazine and events, the first and next product vertical, Dwayne Hickson and Earl said, hey, what's our growth plan? We have hundreds of these community products nationwide, but what additional product verticals might we consider as a company, since we're having great success at connecting residents of a particular identified community with one another? Like, where should we be doing this further? And perhaps in the business space, right? Like in the B2B type arena. And so Chris and I were lucky enough to be on an incentive trip. This company is fantastic that I'm a franchisee of, by the way. They're just really, really great to their people. They have certainly a whole entire home office of W-2 employees that do a number of things, such as client support and printing and accounting. But you have hundreds of folks like myself that are given a very reasonable franchise opportunity to bring their model to our markets. So we were literally on an incentive trip in Hawaii, and we were sitting with Dwayne Hickson, the founder, at dinner, and we started, very much talking about these types of things. And this was probably 9, years ago, maybe 8, 9. And he said, we've got some really exciting things coming, and I'd love to pick even your and Chris's brain, given your background, but we're considering, hey, we are doing this very successfully in communities. Should we entertain? There's some idea about the real estate community as professionals. And they knew Chris was a realtor. And then they had someone within our company who's fantastic, Remington Ramsey, who's at the heart of this product development and creation and launch. He's in Indianapolis. And let me try to fast forward and get to the good stuff.
This is great stuff, Tiffany. Need to rush.
Oh, yeah.
No need to rush.
This is great.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this.
Oh, good. My husband would accuse me of being long-winded sometimes.
No.
Sure I'm getting to the good.
That's okay. We got plenty of time. So you were there for the birth of the entire product, not just, it wasn't just up and running and they said, hey, do you want to be part of Portland? You were kind of there when they were talking about launching it everywhere, right?
It was really, I feel grateful for that. I certainly don't want to position it as though I had something extraordinary to do with it. I didn't. But I can definitely tell you that literally sitting at a dinner table as this product was being born and launched. And we were in conversations absolutely with Dwayne about it and said, yes, what you guys are thinking is absolutely something that could be done, should be done. It has a ton of merit. They were picking Chris's brain, just being a successful realtor and being a top producer. Like, would you be interested in something like this? And the company has just continued. And Remington, he is the one that brought the idea, as I understand it, to Dwayne and Earl. And he's a very successful young man in Indianapolis.
Realtor. He's a realtor.
He's not a realtor. Get this. He came to N2 kind of organically like I did, but he had a very, very successful business helping realtors with their client appreciation gifts with a company called Cutco that I know you guys have heard of.
Oh my gosh. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool. In fact, many of the very, very successful franchise owners, and this is like another really neat tidbit about N2. And I would highly liken it to much of the success I've seen in my counterparts. Many of those folks were incredibly successful. They have incredibly successful Cutco businesses. And as you know, if you're, a realtor that knows that company, they create these gorgeous, personalized closing gifts for a very